In a world made of shadows, where the truth feels far away, you find yourself behind bars for a price you didn't pay. Fight your case with every breath you take, standing on your truth in the face of all this heartbreak. I didn't do this, you shout, but they turn their heads away, ignoring echoes of your innocence. You face another day. And what does the parole board say? Drowning in the protocol. You show no remorse. You're not fitting the role at all. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted. That's your only guidance. It's a trapdoor either way, no escape from their design. Parole board wants confessions, not a hint of reason or a sign. Not seeking justice, but looking for neat boxes checked, as they mold a simple story, leaving your truth wrecked. 20 years in, you still stand tall, saying I didn't do this. They don't celebrate your honesty. It's lost in all the myths. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted. That's your only guidance. This ain't rehabilitation. Oh, it's coercion without end. How can a man find freedom when guilt is where they pretend? Reality's cruel and innocence turns to liability. Still holding on to truth, your fight for clarity. So here's to the dreamers behind the steel and stone. Your truth is still your own. You're never alone. The system needs to change. Real remorse it must define. Innocence is not your fault. It's their dark design. to cope. In a world made of shadows, where the truth feels far away, in a world painted gray, where shadows dance and weep, a boy named Eddie faced storms too heavy to keep. 15 and alone, with the fire burning deep, in the kaleidoscope of wrongs, a heart too brave to sleep. They called him a menace, a child lost in sin, but behind those tired eyes 100 dreams begin. That Riley stood firm, shaking hands with despair. There's no room for kindness, no chance that he's fair. But Eddie saw the light in a lashed out embrace. Could a heart once trapped mend a system's disgrace? Oh, Eddie, you stood a beacon in the night, rehabilitating souls, igniting roads to right, changing words to actions within those heavy walls. Maybe you're the miracle that answers broken calls. Time in a cell taught the lessons of life, how to touch the lost hands amidst grief and strife. Eddie raised his voice, for the silence brought pain. A minister to the broken, he cast away the chain.
Check it, these podcasts rolling in with their lies, using articles, trashing truth, that's their disguise. Riley planted seeds, watch the chaos unfold, spitting hit pieces, just hustling for gold. Facts in my pocket, I'm spitting the real, while they aim for the clickbait, that's part of the deal. They call it content, but I see the fraud, trying to cash in on the truth like it's they throwing dirt, but I'm rising like a phoenix. Headlines designed just to spread all the meanness, but we use the facts, they use all the lies. Riley's in their pockets, can't hide from the sky. Scrolling through the headlines, it's a nasty game. Podcasters mad cause we ain't playing the same. They whining about respect, but I can't be bothered. Your so-called content, man, does it even matter? Pouring hate like it's water filling up my cup, talking slick behind the mic, but what's up with the luck? I'm here for the truth while they chase the clout. Every word's a shot and there's no room for doubt. They throwing dirt, but I'm rising like a phoenix. Headlines designed just to spread all the meanness, but we use the facts, they use all the lies. Riley's in their pockets, can't hide from the skies. Look, it is free every day, that's my mission, until they feel the pressure from this real coalition. Bottom line, we're rising, we ain't selling our soul while they drown in the hate, trying to take control. I guess however they can make a buck right, turn the fact into fiction, but we shine a light. These petty players gonna cry when they see the truth is the armor can't mess with me. I'm in the studio, pin fire, no time for the fake, dropping heavy knowledge while they shift the they shake. It's a dirty game. They play to win the crowd, but with facts on my side, I'm standing out loud. So hit them with the truth like I'm hammering steel. We ain't playing games, man. It's the real deal. Daddy's back and forth. They can't close the door. These podcasts use the past, but we're here to restore. Check it. Bottom line, yeah, the hate is real, but we're here with the facts, so let's make that real. Right. We ain't ever gonna fall. With truth on our side, we stand tall. No more lies, no more lies, no more games. Just the real, peeling back their names.
What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Man, I got all my notes on my phone for this episode. I was trying to get the notes off the phone, get them onto my computer. But what is going on, everybody? How are we doing today? Welcome. So usually we're doing, Eddie O'Brien stuff over on this channel, but this is something that I've been wanting to do for quite a while. The Juston Root, this case this is definitely a case that is screaming for an independent investigation. This is absolutely a case that needs an independent investigation. Just bear with me a minute. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Come on, I hate when these notifications get in my damn way. But what is going on, man? First and foremost, man, big shout out to Eddie O'Brien. Definitely free Eddie. We broke down the DNA yesterday, so you might want to go check that out, because if you have any doubt about Eddie O'Brien, if you think he's guilty, go back and watch that episode I did yesterday, and there should be no more answers. There should be no more discussion whether Eddie is guilty or not. Because we broke that down yesterday, and July 28th, you see up in the right corner of the screen, 10 more chapters are coming out on Margot Nash's book on the Eddie O'Brien case, July 28th. You definitely want to get that book now, because if you want to see how dirty the Commonwealth is, you have to look at the Eddie O'Brien, the Eddie O'Brien case, because that situation, that situation is crazy. It's ridiculous. No, there's someone else's DNA under Janet's fingernails. Free Eddie. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit later. But what is going on, everybody? We're talking some Juston Root today. This happened 6 years ago. 6 years ago, this poor guy was, definitely not in his right state of mind, dealing with mental health illness like so many other, men and women that are going through now. Mental health is really, really a big issue. And especially when the police get involved, because they have no experience at it, and their training totally sucks. They do an 8-hour in-service. They go to a class. But back on February 7th, back in 2000, Juston Root, was going to his longtime mental health facility where he always goes to, for over a decade, over near the Brigham and Women's Hospital campus, where he was getting treatment, when a hospital security guard, approaches him, speaks with him, shakes his hand, falsely reported that Juston had threatened to pew pew him. Certain words you can't say. So he reported to, pew pew him. The security guard later ended up recounting observing something clear in Juston's waist that he thought could be a pew pew. Man, I have some pictures up here. Give me a minute. I'm pulling up another. I think I had another picture. I know where the picture is. I'll find the picture. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Here it is. Here it is. Let me get you back onto the screen. Add this to the stage. I gotta take this down. So right here was the weapon that they found. It was a clear, you could basically tell when you're looking at it that it was a you can kind of tell it's clear. It has so in the picture right below it you have this is Juston here, pointing it at him, which is not really not good. He's pointing, I'm gonna go this way. No, you're not. Come here, and this is where I think the shots are fired. Now, what this is, I think this is a canister for a paintball, where you put the paintballs in here, and I think it fills up the slide. But you could tell this is not a real weapon. You could tell just by looking at it. And this guy is like so up close next to Juston Root. Like you can tell it is not a weapon. Now listen, if you're watching over there on Twitter, let me see how many people are on Twitter right now. 6 people. So 6 people on Twitter. This is going to end in about another 11 minutes on Twitter because I want everyone to come over to YouTube. So come over to the YouTube page. Can we keep it real? One word. Not too hard to find. There's links everywhere. There's links basically everywhere. Let me get back to what I was saying. So we thought of what could be a weapon, right? It was an oversized clear plastic paintball marker with a chimney-like piece coming out of the waist off to the side and mostly concealed by a long, dark coat. Now, Juston had committed no crime at this point. No crime at all. But as they waited for the Boston police to arrive in response to what they claimed was a dangerous gunman, the unarmed, hospital security guards began agitating and escalating the situation. You're not trained for this, so you're a security guard, man. Back up. And this is why these mental facilities need to have professionals working there and not just some, $13 an hour, security guard. So, meanwhile, when all this stuff is going on, a security officer from a nearby mental health facility standing about 60 feet away, imagine that, 60 feet away, he recognized that what Juston had was a toy. It was a toy. So that escalated very, very fast. The police come. Now this all started early in the morning, like about 9:14. Juston first made interaction with the security guard. It was like 9:14 in the morning. By 9:23 a.m., the police are already on the scene. Actually, the police already shot Juston. Meanwhile, a valet parker worker across the street takes a shot. A bullet ricocheted, shoots the valet guy. I think he caught one in the head. Right? So at that point, within minutes after BPD arrives, Boston police, they open fire within minutes, right? Discharging rounds. As the first officer approached Juston, struggling to communicate due to his psychiatric disability, repeatedly shouted, that he was with the law enforcement. So Justin shouting that he's a cop, and now this is a known symptom of his mental health condition. So with his firearm already drawn and without any attempt at de-escalation, the officer closed the distance while Justin's back was turned, advancing to about 36 inches from Juston. Juston was no threat. They should have, look, this cop right here in this slide. Well, I'll show, in the slide at the 9:23 a.m. slide that we see on the screen. This cop right here, you got to clearly see at that point, you had to look at the weapon and know that it was not a real weapon. Mm-hmm. Good morning. Happy Father's Day to anybody. If I didn't get you yesterday or the last couple of days, shout out Big Ed O'Brien. I'll tell you what, I gotta say, I think little Eddie, I think he's very lucky to have, a man like Big Ed, as your dad. Shout out to Big Ed. But Boston police had to know. But at this point, right? So within minutes, right? They discharged 15 rounds at Juston. Not sure how many hit him at this point, but count the rounds now, because we're at scene number 1. Right? So Juston struggling to communicate, like I said, because of his psychiatric, disabilities. He's shouting what law enforcement, they got to know. I mean, look where we are. Of course, you know it's a disability. But with the cop, his firearm is already drawn, right? And without any attempt at de escalation, the officer ends up close the distance. Justin's back was turned. He's about 36 inches away. Justin turns and sees the gun pointed at him. So he pulls out an oversized clear plastic paintball marker. The officer immediately fired, shattering it and leaving only the clear handle in Justin's hand. So right now, the two responding officers fired 15 rounds combined. Like I said, a bullet ricocheted, hits a hospital valet guy in the head. Nice going, Boston police. Way to go. But despite being wounded and bleeding, Justin managed to get into his car and drive away slowly, right? Four Boston police cruisers follow him at very low speed. None of them's running his license plate at this point. Nice, real smart of you. A routine check that could have identified him and probably gave you some very important information. So at this point, not sure if they got permission to do this in the city. An officer, right? He performed a pit maneuver. Terrified, bleeding, Justin panics. And he runs, fleeing for his life. He runs, he takes off, he's scared to death. This poor guy, man, he's shot. He probably don't know what's going on. So the police catch up to him. Try to save this image. I want to try to show you this picture. See if I can get it. Give me a second. Now, right here, this picture that I'm showing you, the above right corner, they are all positioning themselves around Justin. Now, right now you see the picture to the left. There's a certified EMT that was driving by that got out, and they started trying to save Justin's life. The cops yell at the EMTs, tell them to get away. They do a circle around Justin, and these dirty dogs, look at all the shells. Look at this. These are all shell casings. All of these markers are all shell casings. They put 31 holes inside this boy. 31 shots. You could say my name, say my name, say my name, say my name. Yeah, shout out everybody. So that's the entire street. The original location is multiple mental health facilities, yet no one thought twice that this person may be having a mental health crisis. Ignorant, right? Ignorant, ignorant, ignorant. Oh, good. I would love to talk to Justin's sister. I have her name Bannon, right? Isn't that the last name Bannon? Like this is just crazy. And are we surprised that our good friend Michael Morrissey was involved in this damn case? I mean, so we started off at like 9 in the morning, 9:14. Justin's like steps away from the mental health clinic, that he's been going to for years. Right? He shakes the hand with the security guard. Then suddenly the dude radios in like he just spotted John Wick on his damn lunch break. Right? He claims that Justin threatened to shoot him with a plastic pellet gun. But he's the one saying, "Oh, this and that. The guy's gonna hurt me, right?" So what do the police do? Man, they put 15. They shoot 15 rounds. Justin ends up taking off, jumps in his car. He drives a short block away. He gets out. He falls on the ground. EMT lady comes over, starts working on him. Boston police come along with Mass State Police. They make a circle around this kid while he's laying on the ground. 2,000 cc's of blood have already leaked out of this dude. Do you know how much 2,000 cc's is? It's a lot. I mean, so at 9:14 in the morning, we got Justin walking up peacefully, not bothering anybody, not doing anything crazy. He had, why he had this little gun, but they said he had I think a mental health condition that basically, where he thought or he would pretend he was a police officer. So yeah, so he thought he was a cop. But instead of diffusing the situation, the security guy starts amping it up. And next thing you know, shots are fired. Shots are fired at this point, and now here's the EMT. All the cops come around. You see Justin right here on the ground. He obviously can't do anything. The weapon is gone. The first cop, shot it out of his hands. Ain't much that he is going to do at that point. Now, look at this. 7 minutes after being shot multiple times, Justin crashed his vehicle and staggered out, having lost nearly 2,000 cc's of blood before collapsing in a mulch bed near a supermarket parking lot. He was unarmed, barely conscious, and clearly in urgent need of medical care. Now, they already let off 15 shots. Now, a civilian EMT rushed over to his side to provide aid, but officers quickly approached with weapons drawn and ordered her to leave. Fearing for her safety, she left his side. Seconds later, one officer kicked Juston before the officers formed a semicircle around him and fired 31 bullets at point blank range. Despite him lying on the ground, covered in blood, incapacitated, and unarmed, that's important, he posed no threat. Juston Root never stood a chance. Never stood a freaking chance. This is where we've seen Juston right here on the ground. Look at all these cops. Look, they all by him. Look at all of these bullets. Boy, man, some great people, huh? Protecting and serving. This is why people are afraid of the police. Because this is how they protect and they serve. All right, if you're watching over there, I let it go another 7 minutes, but if you're watching over there on Twitter, there's 10 people over there on Twitter. Come over to YouTube because the Twitter stream is about to end. But come over on YouTube. Can we keep it real? Yep, so now our numbers just dropped down, but there's 10 people watching on Twitter. Come over here to YouTube, Come watch on YouTube. But yeah, this is just like, just something like this happens. It's just horrible. I mean, when mental health patients, people who already struggle, people who already need compassion, when they get treated like threats instead of humans. I mean, Juston didn't commit a crime. He didn't threaten anybody. I mean, he didn't escalate it. He didn't run at anybody. All right, he pulled out the weapon, and that shouldn't have done that. I get it. But he didn't, the story that got told about him, the story had a life of its own. And once that dangerous gunman, that they said this guy was a dangerous gunman. And once that narrative hit the airways, it was like lighting a fuse that you could not unlight. Because if we're breaking this case down piece by piece, in this episode, how the lies started, how the lies spread, how it turned into a manhunt, for a short blocks, and how a toy became a death sentence. Because if we don't call out the system's failures, if we don't call out these shitty ass cops and these shitty ass judges that make these shitty ass decisions, if we don't call out the failures, the reckless escalation of what these people do, then it's going to happen again and again. And the next Juston might not have a toy. He might just have a hoodie on, or a backpack, or probably just the wrong color, or maybe just the wrong diagnosis, because it seems that when you have a mental health illness, you are an enemy of the police. The truth ain't always comfortable, right? The truth ain't always easy to hear, right? But it's necessary. And then they turned, a lie into this But part one was the spark, right? I think this right here is the explosion because once the false gunman call went out, the whole system reacted like someone hit the damn panic button with both hands. And what happened next? Well, it wasn't policing. It wasn't policing. It was fear in uniform, running downhill with no damn brakes. We'll tell you what happened to them cops in a minute. So Boston police pull up, convinced that they're dealing with a dangerous armed suspect. Oh, this is a free one, they're probably thinking. Not because they saw a gun, but because Juston, and not because Juston threatened anybody either. I want to make that clear. But because a hospital security guard who had just shaken this guy's hand, right? He just shaken Juston's damn hand. He panicked and painted a damn Hollywood villain in his head that was saying who Juston was. And by the time the officers hit the scene, they were already poisoned, all of them. They weren't arriving to assess. They were arriving to confirm what they've been told, and that's the deadliest mindset in policing. Because they didn't even try to slow shit down. What do they tell you on? Oh, escalate. Oh, yeah, you don't know what escalation means. No cops know what escalation means. But you want to ask, where's the threat? Crazy. Instead of listening to the mental health security officer yelling, it's a toy, they come in hot. Guns out, adrenaline up. Everything else is just blocked out. And that's what happens when shitty cops show up like they're storming a castle instead of responding to a human being in crisis. It's like they brought the SWAT team or something. That's the mindset, that's the mindset that they had. And I think once the officers, once these cops draw down, the rest followed. Once pulled out and draws, the rest follow. And they're like, wait a minute, this is a free one. It's just a herd mentality within these police departments. One person's fear becomes everybody's mission. And now you got multiple officers aiming at a man who didn't commit a crime, right? Was walking away, right? Was holding a toy now. And once the myth of Juston Root took over, it was like trying to put toothpaste back in the damn tube. And let's keep it real, right? This wasn't just a police failure. Oh, no, this was also a mental health system failure also. Mental health is real. Juston was steps from the clinic he trusted for 10 years. He was at the one place where he should have been safe. Absolutely. Please read it if you're not familiar with it. JustonRoot.com. What happened? The one place where people should have recognized his behavior, his needs, his patterns. But instead of compassion, what did Juston get? He got confrontation. Instead of de-escalation, they escalated this shit, right? Instead of help, my man got hunted down like a dog. And this is what happens when mental health crisis gets treated like criminal threats. When the first instinct is force instead of understanding, well, then you got problems. Because once these damn cops convinced themselves that they were chasing an armed suspect, the whole situation changed. Give me a minute. We'll be right back, people. Justin for Juston Root, can't even speak. Justice for him, but I'll be right back. My baby.
Innocence shattered in a world so torn. They said it was fear reopening the doors, filled with whispers behind closed floors. A white boy convicted made it look fair, but in the shadow of justice the truth laid bare. Eddie was a name, but just a pawn in the game, sacrificed and railroaded. Nothing felt the same. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play. Innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. Barnum was under pressure. He folded like glass. The DA showboating, just trying to amass. The system wanted justice, but justice was blind, changing the laws, leaving truth far behind. Remove the judge who dared to be just. Eddie was demonized in the world's cruel thrust. Size mattered not when politics run deep. From day one he fought, but all they did was sweep. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play. Innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. And those inside knew the story was wrong. We could have done better, sang the old wrong song. Experts pressure to twist the truth, arm in the court of despair. There was no charm. He never stood a chance from the very start. A tragic confession, a broken heart. Watch Eddie's face when the world turned cold. An innocent spirit caught in a tail.
Okay, we back. We talking, the justice for Juston Root. Definitely an independent investigation is definitely needed in this case, right? So let me get back to where we were. So now, he's been shot, and out of all of this, you believe only one body worn camera was recording, but you couldn't really see much of it because the officer's arm, it goes dark just before the shooting began. And what is even crazier, people, let's fast forward this. Just 30 days after this guy was gunned down. Just 30 days, right? Juston, after, from 30 days when he was unalived, after more than 30 rounds were fired at a man who was already bleeding out from, when they fired 15 rounds at him, unarmed, on the ground, lost already at this point 2,000 cc's of blood. These cops, they go up to him, they kick him while he's on the ground. Then they form like a half a circle around him, and they open fire and put 31 holes in this dude. But guess what? You want to hear the crazy shit about this? And your boy Proctor investigated it too. But we'll get into that. But what's even more crazy about this, Meatballs. What's his name? Meatball Maloney, whoever the guy's name is. The Norfolk County District Attorney's Office releases its report. And just like that, all 6 officers who put 31 holes into this nice young man on the screen right here, 31 holes. All 6 officers were cleared by the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. He said the report is inadequate, incomplete, and lacks transparency. For over 5 years, the Root family has demanded a thorough independent investigation free from the biased and BS that taints the process. They wanted, a transparent, impartial investigation into Juston's death. And hopefully, after this election coming up, maybe Adam Deitch, hopefully he will open an investigation into Juston's passing. Because I think what has happened to this young guy, man, and it could happen to any one of us. Any one of us, this can happen. But all 6 officers cleared, no hesitation, no independent review. How about a grand jury? No grand jury either. How the hell do you get around a grand jury on a police shooting? But here's what they didn't tell the public. The district attorney's report, right? It wasn't just rushed. It was excluding some critical evidence. How about the EMT's testimony? The one person who was physically next to Juston seconds before he was killed. Kind of like how Regina was with Janet right before she was killed, but you don't want to talk to her. The same way you don't want to talk to Morrissey Meatballs. That's right, Meatball Morrissey. And if you like the content, you can give some memberships, or hook your boy up with a super chat, appreciate that. But yeah, so you don't have the EMT's testimony, the one person who was physically next to Juston seconds before he was unalived. He could describe Juston's condition, his posture, his lack of threat. But that testimony never made it in the final report. Imagine a guy like Morrissey investigating, like police are investigating police. Like, what? How's that ever going to make sense? Key witness statements that contradict what the police were saying. Details about Juston's medical condition, blood loss, his physical, just how he couldn't even move the time he was shot. But when evidence that challenges the official story, when it gets left out, that's not an investigation. That is a narrative. Can you please share this? I really appreciate it. Well, you want to think that the police are the good guys, and do what they got to do, And it's a shame that they all end up to be bad apples. Even the good ones become bad apples, not even by a choice of their own. Because if they don't become bad apples, basically, they're just not trusted by the other guys in their department. And, when you're a cop, they say, oh, I got to be able to trust these guys. So they lie for them. Key witness statements was left out of this shit. Details about Juston's medical condition, his blood loss. But when evidence that challenges the official story gets left out, and many of the officers involved, they actually met as a group before even giving their official statements. Statements that were recorded until 5 days after the shooting. 5 days. 5 days to talk. It took 5 days to talk to these cops. 5 days to align their stories. 5 days to make sure everyone remembered the same version of events. Convenient. In any other context, any workplace, any investigation, I think that would be called, what do you call that, Big Ed? Contamination of testimony. Yeah, that's what it's called. When you contaminate the testimony. But it was treated as normal. Morrissey report was inadequate. It was incomplete. It didn't have no transparency. It was answering the questions the DA wanted to answer, and it avoided the ones that even mattered. It didn't explain why the EMT's testimony vanished. That's where I was like, where's the EMT's testimony? It doesn't explain why the officers met before giving their statement. Where's IA in all this? It doesn't even explain why the investigation wrapped in 30 days. How did you get this done in 30 days without us seeing a grand jury? Why the public was asked to accept a story built on missing pieces again? Because if they had included everything that they knew, right, if they told the whole truth, the conclusion would have been so tidy, right? So when people ask why the Root family is still fighting, like they ask me, why are you still fighting for Eddie? It's why the community is still demanding an independent investigation. Why this case refuses to fade into the background. It's because Juston Root is not resting in peace. It's because the official report didn't close the case, it buried the case. So we're going to dig it back up. We're going to dig it back up. I mean, imagine when the system went from mistake to momentum, from fear to force, from misunderstanding to let's reverse this shit. Let's reverse this tragedy. Because once that false armed suspect narrative hit the radio, Juston Root wasn't about truth anymore. They wanted control over this, right? It was about the Boston PD's ego. It was about officers chasing the story that they created, not the man in front of them. It was about the story that they created. I mean, when poor Juston walked away from that hospital campus, he wasn't fleeing a crime. He wasn't resisting. He wasn't threatening anyone. But them cops rolled up already convinced that they were dealing with a dangerous gunman. And I don't know whose fault that is. So when he moved, oh, he's running. When he didn't respond perfectly, oh, that's non-compliant. Stop resisting. You see it all the time. Stop resisting as they're like banging you in the head with a friggin' flashlight. Everything he did, even the normal behavior, got filtered through Boston Police Department's lie. And once that lie took root, no pun intended, right? It grew legs. It grew sirens. It grew guns. Now you got multiple cruisers, multiple departments, police everywhere. Look, this wasn't a tactical response. They wanted to be in with the shooting. They wanted their free shots, respectfully. I mean, this wasn't some tactical response. And please share this. This wasn't a stampede. Officers weren't coordinating. They weren't assessing. They weren't listening to the mental health officer who said it's a toy. They were chasing the idea of danger. And when police chase danger, the truth gets ran the frig over. Now, here's where it gets crazy, right? We'll call this the wall of bad decisions, right? Because so the pursuit ends in Brookline, right? Justin's car is boxed in. He's surrounded by cops who've been hyping themselves up for miles, like, yeah, we're going to shoot someone today. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Believing that they're about to face an armed killer. But here's the truth: Justin was scared. Justin was confused. and still holding nothing but a clear plastic paintball gun. But by the time officers stepped out of their cruisers, gun already drawn, adrenaline already spiked, boy, the bullets were already coming out of that weapon. They didn't care. You know, and the part that hurts in those final seconds, nobody paused. Nobody reassessed it. Nobody said, hold up. What are we actually looking at? But no, multiple officers fired. Not one. Not two, but 6. 31 holes inside Juston. I mean, that is such... One second. That is such a level of force that you can't even begin to understand. I'll be right back.
Oh, now, hey. Now listen closely. I got a story to tell about a world that spun into a living hell. In the mid-90s, truth lost its place while the system turned its back on the human race. Hey. All they cared about was filling up the beds. Didn't matter who they grabbed, just fill up the spread. They took the innocent kids, tossed them aside. Evidence was trash, it was a twisted ride. Bodies in the system, just numbers on a page. The system didn't care about the pain or the rage. Now look around, see the streets in despair. Families breaking apart, chaos in the air. Wonder why the youth are lost in the haze. A puppet show of lives caught in a cruel maze. Stand-up dudes taking the order they kept, left the neighborhood shattered, families wept. Addicts in the alleys, shadows of the past. We're stuck in the cycle, feeling outclassed. Why do the corners look like a zombie show? It's by design, we all know it, don't you know? It didn't happen by accident, it was all planned. The system made it happen, they had the upper hand. In the chaos in the night, there's a deeper truth. A kid named Eddie O'Brien, lost in his youth. 15 years strong, thrown in a ruthless game. A machine built to crush, no mercy, just shame. Politics and fear, the media spins their lies. Eddie stood no chance, neath the soulless skies. Now look around, see the streets in despair. Families breaking apart, chaos in the air. Wonder why the youth are lost in the haze. A puppet show of lives caught in a cruel maze. But Eddie's not just a name in a fading light. He's a face of a struggle, he'll put up a fight. With the truth in his heart, he'll rise from the ground. Voices in the shadows, together we're found. So listen closely, the story ain't done. We're reclaiming our truth, we're taking back the sun. For every fallen brother, every shattered dream, we'll rise up together, united as a team.
Appreciate everybody supporting the program. But we ain't done yet. It's 12:16. We are not done yet. Justice to Juston Root.
15 years old, life in a flash. Eddie O'Brien's dreams turned to ash. Caught in a storm of political lies. Justice was blind, just heard the cries. In 95, when the law turned cold, a tale of the super predator, truth untold. The DA's game, playing with fate, manipulated minds, sealing Eddie's slate. Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall. Exculpatory truths left on the shelf. Margot Nash spoke, revealing the stealth. Turning pages, the story unfolds. The politics of murder, a truth bold and in every corner. The whispers of doubt, a system that's rigged. Can't we just shout? Behind those bars, he's waited too long. An innocent heart, where does he belong? Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall. Reevaluate, we're raising the stakes. Time to uncover the truth for justice's sake. No more suppression, let the voices ring. Together we rise, it's a hell of a thing. We'll sign the petition, take back the night. Fighting for Eddie, we'll win this fight. Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall. More than half alive in a crowded cage, but hope knows no bounds. It's never too late. Hear the rhythm, feel the beat. Justice is coming, can't accept defeat. No more shadows, let the truth shine bright. Eddie O'Brien, ready for the fight.
I hate to break up the party, but I'm back. I'm back. We're talking about Juston Root right now. What's up, everybody? Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. You know, give some memberships. You know, but we're over here talking about Juston Root. You know, somebody that I've been wanting to talk about for the last couple of months, you know, going over his case, looking at some things, you know, real crazy how Meatball Morrissey got this investigation over in 30 days after they put 30 holes in this poor kid. You know, but what about the system failures, you know, the policies, the training that the Boston police, Mass State Police, Michael Proctor, you know, the culture that allowed a toy to become a death sentence. You know, because if we don't talk about this stuff, right? If we don't expose this friggin' garbage, if we don't demand better, right? And this wasn't, this wasn't, oh, this was during COVID 2020 that this ended up happening. But for the cops not even thinking all the other options, they had stun gun, etc. is insane. What gets me is how the video on the screen, how they circled him and then put 31 shots in him when he already lost over 2,000 cc's of blood. The cop goes over to him. The cop kicks him. He kicks him. Right? So they're over to him. They kick him. Then they back up. They make a circle around him. And they shoot him. They put 31 shots in this guy. Who is going to be the next Juston? You know, one of our kids, someone we know, their kids, you know? Is he going to be wearing a hoodie? Is he going to have a backpack on? Because if we don't talk about this, we have to demand better, right? If we're going to use our platforms, we have to use our platforms to make things better. You got to find your right niche. You got to find what you like talking about. And sometimes you may go years and not even find your niche. But once you find it, so use your platform, use social media for good. When I used to do the football stuff, I would tell these kids a lot of times, like, listen, man, don't be putting negative shit on your social media, especially if you plan to go to college. You know, use it for, use it to elevate. And a friend of mine has, his sons are cops, and there was a situation where one of the higher ranking state police officers was drunk driving in Rhode Island, right? So a younger cop pulls him over, puts him in the back of the car, and this guy's probably screaming at him. And he's like, I really don't know what to do. So some other senior officers come over, right? And they're talking to the young cop, and they're telling him this and telling him that. And then they let the guy out the back seat that was drunk driving, and he goes up to the young cop and he puts his finger in his face and he's screaming at him. So basically, what another state police guy told me is, he said, here's the problem. He said, now, if you would have arrested him and brought him in, nobody would have trusted you. They would have all thought you was a rat, and they wouldn't trust being around you. And now you got to worry about these guys. Are they going to get your back? So now you have no choice but to let the cop go, for drunk driving. And this is sponsored by Turtle Goes to Jail. Get your game today. Available on all platforms. Look at that. Turtle Goes to Jail. It's a new game by Mattel. AI. Sponsored by the Turtle. We're going to talk about that a little too. That is just like too crazy. It's crazy how the Turtle told all these people, like, listen, man, you guys just better be talking about me. And a lot of creators jumped on board. They were like, yes, daddy. I'm like, what? You're like, yes, daddy. I was like, yo, that's crazy. There's actually a picture. I swear to God, I ain't even making a joke. There's a picture of the glare in the Encore Casino, and he's kissing JFK on the cheek. I was like, yo, what the hell? I was like, that's crazy. But if we don't talk about this shit, right? I mean, then the next Justin is already out there just walking into a system that still has not learned. So you got to stay locked in. You got to stay awake. You got to stay real. But there's too many systematic failures. It was the machine that killed Juston Root. Because if we stop talking about the individual mistakes and we start talking about the machine, because what happened to Juston Root, what happened to, I'll even transition this back to 1995, what happened to Eddie O'Brien? It wasn't about individual mistakes, it was about the machine. You're up against a machine, because what happens to Justin wasn't just one bad call. It wasn't just one panicked God or one reckless officer, right? This was an entire system of failures. And maybe that's what the Root family has to do. They have to bring another lawsuit. I even talked about it when Karen Reed filed against Michael Proctor. Go look at page 21 in that lawsuit, and I'll share it again. But it talks about the Mass State Police created this. They created this system. It's a whole chain of institutions that are supposed to protect people like Justin. But no, you want to line up Justins like dominoes. And there's Justins all over the place, all over the country. It ain't just a Mass thing or a Rhode Island thing or a Connecticut thing. We are all just lined up like dominoes, just waiting to fall. You could be Justin. I could be Justin. These failures that made this tragedy not just possible, but also predictable. Where's my face? How come I'm not on the screen? Oh, I know why. Okay. I'm over here playing with the damn screen. But the entire look, this is a friggin' disaster, right? And it all started with a false report. You know, that's how it all started. It all started with a false friggin' report. A security guard claiming that Juston threatened to unalive him or to propel him. No threats, no weapons, no aggression, a plastic paintball. That's what it was. A plastic paintball canister, whatever it is, you know. You want to claim that Juston threatened to pew pew you, and I just don't want to say the word because of YouTube. You know, no real weapon, no aggression, just a lie that spread faster because the truth could not catch it. And here's the systematic part, right? There was no safeguards in place. There was no verification, right? All they had to do was run the plate when they were following Juston instead of trying to spin him out, and you would have found out exactly who he was. So you don't want to confirm before you escalate? I mean, that is called what? Information contamination. You contaminated the information, dummy. You know, once the first officer hears gunman, every other officer after that hears gunman. Oh my God, I'm on my way. That's all you hear. You get tunnel vision. So facts become optional and fear is just basically gospel. So, how does a toy become a threat? You know, poor kid, 9:14 in the morning. Juston is steps away from his mental health clinic that he trusted for a decade. People knew him there. People knew his patterns. They knew his triggers. But the security, obviously, they didn't know him. They didn't understand mental health behavior. You know, mental health places. Maybe you should teach your security to understand mental health behavior. Nobody coordinated with the clinic. You didn't ask for a guidance officer. We have a situation down here in the parking lot. And the police, they didn't listen to the mental health officer who said it was a toy. See, this is system failure. Mental health professionals and cops operate like two different planets orbiting around the same bullshit. No communication. They ain't sharing no damn training. No unified responses. Get out of here. When those worlds collide, or the people in crisis get crushed in the middle. The people that are suffering. But let's keep it real. Policing in America has a cultural problem, a come in hot problem, right? Dominate the situation problem, take control problem. They don't know how to slow shit down. Instead of asking questions, instead of assessing. Instead of asking questions where officers maybe can de escalate things, instead, they escalate it from the moment they arrive. Why? Because the system rewards force. Cops that are forceful, oh, come here, move, kid, get over here, sit down. Say, shut up, dummy. But if you train an officer to see threats, not see people. It teaches them that hesitation is danger. You can't hesitate. And when you're aggressive, you're putting your own safety at risk. That's how you get a pursuit over a stupid friggin' toy. And that's how you get a man basically that's in a crisis treated like a criminal, killed like a criminal, gunned down like a criminal. So, what's the system failure number four? What's the fourth thing that the system failed at? Nobody hit the brakes. At any point at all, somebody could have stopped all of this. A supervisor, a dispatcher, or another responding officer, maybe a hospital administrator. Somebody could have said, yo, let's slow down. We got to reassess this situation. Let's confirm there's even a weapon. Why don't you back up, take cover? But nobody did because the system isn't built with no friggin' brakes. It's built like a runaway train. Once it starts moving, it doesn't stop until something gets destroyed. And in this case, human life got destroyed. Another human life got destroyed. What's the fifth system failure? I mean, the ugliest part after this tragedy, the system did not sit back. They didn't sit back and say, yo, we messed up. They didn't sit back and say, yep, we failed. Nope, no, they didn't. Did we even hear them say, yo, we need to change, man? We just killed a man. No, they didn't. You know what it did? It went into protection mode. Now the reports are getting sanitized. They're straightening out their narratives. If the public reads Eddie's website, then a lot of minds would be changed in favor of Eddie. That's the problem. They are lazy and believe media and crooked cops. That's why I got to do a forum ad, right? That's why I got to read it for them and bring them the information. Because even if they read it, Ed, the problem is you really think some of these people will, no disrespect to anybody, but if a good percentage reads it, like what we went over yesterday, the TPOCs and all that stuff, do you really think they're going to understand what it means? Will they understand what it means? And I bet this happens at mental health facilities everywhere. See, not by telling the truth, they're going to protect themselves, but they want to control the story. And when institutions stop protecting themselves, instead of people that they serve, they should be protecting you and me and, the Juston Roots. That's who they should be, you know? That's not public safety. That's self preservation. That's all they're doing. Self friggin' preservation. They don't take accountability into their police friggin' failures. When do you ever see a cop or a department taking shit accountable, looking at where their policies are failing and what needs to change so that the next Justin doesn't end up another name in a tragic ass headline? I mean, shit, this shit ain't gonna fix itself. That's why we need to keep our ass locked in. All I needed to know is that the DNA didn't match Eddie. I don't understand the marker numbers, but I do understand they don't match Eddie. But people are very lazy and will barely read. That's right. But it's okay. You know why, Miss Patricia? Because I'm here to break that shit down for you. To let you know what's going on. I mean, really, if the incident and then there's the aftermath. Because what happened to Juston Root wasn't just a damn tragedy. That shit was a cover up. A circle the damn wagon operation, protect the badge at all cost routine. You put 30 holes in a guy that we've seen way too many times. The system needs to show you who it really works for. It ain't the public. Stop lying to us. It is not the public. Because right after Justin was taken out, the system didn't stop. The system didn't pause. The system didn't reflect. The system didn't say, let's figure out what went wrong. No, they went straight into defense mode. Reports were written like the officers were like the last action hero in a movie. Languages are getting sanitized. Police reports are getting being critical. Details are getting softened. Contradictions got smoother and smoother. And eventually, the narrative became armed suspect, dangerous threat, officers act appropriately. Oh, snap. It's a wrap after that. Even though the gun was a toy, I mean, let's keep it real. Internal investigations are often just public relations with paperwork. Oh, I'm calling internal affairs. That's why the cops laugh at you when you say that shit. They're not designed to find fault in their own department. They're just designed to avoid that shit. Cops interviewing cops, huh? Supervisors reviewing their own department? Agencies investigating themselves? Really? That's the accountability you're looking for, not me. That's a conflict of interest wearing a badge. And in Justin's case, I think this investigation leaned heavily on these officers' statements that it took 5 days to get, that they were all allowed to chill with each other, to talk to each other leading up to these statements. I think the system knows the first story the public hears is the one that sticks, right? Words like gunman, threat, confrontation, officer safety. The truth was buried under layers of official language and official paperwork. But by hiding the fact, but by drowning them in a sea of misleading ones, there seem to be no consequences. So will there ever be an investigation? Will there ever be an independent investigation when we get the new DA? Not me, but when Norfolk County gets a new DA. It's crazy. It really is, but we'll see what happens in the Juston Root story. I'm sure we'll talk about more about this. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on it. I got to look through some paperwork. But it's crazy. A false claim of a toy led to this man getting shot 31 times point blank. Point blank is like I could touch you. That's how close you got to be for point blank. Within 36 inches, the first two cops shot him. And because of that, he leaked like 2,000 cc's of blood. But when I come back, we'll close it out. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
In the courtroom lights, truth's gonna bend. Heffernan standing tall, trying to defend. Said it looked bad on paper, but it's all deeper. Politics lurking, call it a grim reaper. Eddie was just a kid, caught in the unafraid. But the power players had a game to play. From day one, they wanted him to fall. A kid in the spotlight, crushed by it all. Heffernan knew the truth. No, it ain't fair. Politics behind the scenes, no one would care. Guilty or innocent, the verdict was set. Justice wasn't blind, it was a political bet. Dr. Bonham was chosen, thought he would be right. A face of fairness in that long, dark night. But the DA smiled wide, played both sides slick. Heffernan thought neutral, but maybe that's the trick. Eddie's fate sealed with a stroke of a pen. My ruling was sound, but the world turned again. They needed him guilty to fit their plan, change the laws mid-game. Oh, what a scam! Heffernan knew the truth. No, it ain't fair. Politics behind the scenes, no one would care. Guilty or innocent, the verdict was set. Justice wasn't blind, it was a political bet. Juvenile court, he should have stayed there. 20 years, not a slap, but no one would care. System in panic cause he stood his ground, but the wheels of justice just turned him around. They wanted Eddie down, they wanted him lost. With the stakes so high, he paid the cost. Heffernan's truth reigned clear in the dark. Tried to bring light, but it missed the mark. Eddie, a kid caught in a game, lost in the shuffle, society's shame. So here's a lesson carved deep as stone. Justice shouldn't wear a political tone. Heffernan stood firm, knew it wasn't just. In a world focused on power, who can you trust? Heffernan knew the truth. No, it ain't fair. Politics behind the scenes, no one would care. Guilty or innocent, the verdict was set. Justice wasn't blind, it was a political bet. So let's remember as the story unfolds, the tales of the innocent, the truth yet told.
I'd like to know, where is everybody today, man? Where is everyone today, huh? But I appreciate everybody that was here. Justice for Juston Root, but before we wrap this up, I just want to, sit with at least one truth, right? Juston Root should still be alive. This young man should not have been murdered by the Boston Police Department, the Mass State Police. He shouldn't have been gunned down like a dog. He shouldn't have been killed. He was steps away from his mental health facility. Steps away. Now, what we got to do now, we're probably going to have to write a song for Juston Root. But hey, he was only steps away. He didn't commit any crimes. He walked away peacefully. Yeah, all right, he thought he was a cop. You know what I mean? That cop should have noticed right away this guy's not all there. What's he going to shoot you with a super soaker? And all these systems that was supposed to protect, they failed in rapid succession. A false report, a misread toy, an escalation that never should have happened. I mean, 30 rounds fired at a man already bleeding out. After you kick him, you shoot him. How did these 6 officers get away with that shit? I have no idea. Morrissey should be brought up on charges because they can't say that that's work privilege. There's not work privilege. The Morrissey rushed through in 30 days this testimony that was left out. You could have got that taken care of. Officers were meeting together before giving statements. That's crazy. And they were able to, get their story straight. Why? But in the end, Juston didn't get justice. He got a story written by the same people who killed him. A story written by the same people that gunned him down. And that's why we are here, because when the official channels close their doors, when the other channels, when transparency disappears, when the people in power decide the conversation is over, that's when the community has to speak louder and we do our own thing. Juston was a son, a brother, a human being in crisis who needed help, not bullets. He didn't need bullets. But until there's a real investigation, until all this missing evidence is accounted for, until the contradictions are confronted, right? Until the truth is told in full, justice has not been served, So you got to say his name. You got to tell this dude's story, right? And refuse to let the record stand as written, So I appreciate everybody. This fight ain't over. The Free Eddie fight is not over. The end of the month's coming soon. Rule 30. Shit. It's gonna get interesting. It's gonna get interesting, man. And once we get towards the beginning of July, maybe we'll start to have some never before seen documents that we're gonna start dropping, and you'll only be able to get that shit right here.
Nick, stop swearing. Sorry.
Huh?
Stop swearing.
Oh, I guess I'm saying something bad. But yeah, so Free Eddie, justice for Juston, and we'll catch y'all on the other side. We out.
Not promote or promotion any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant only for educational purpose only.
Yeah.
Another round. Let's go. When every breakup ends in flames, but when you know. Yeah. Yo, when every split starts a war, it's no surprise. Every exit target got that chip on my eyes. Carolina Lindsay, all smooth like butter. But Meredith, nah, she climbed out the gutter. She didn't play the game, she flipped the script. Leaked messages hit hard like a cruise sun whip. Yo, Juston on the rise, they spilling my tea. It's easier to blame her when you can't even see.
Yo, the common denominator ain't the ones who left. It's the mindset you wear. It's the rage you kept. When every breaker's about to blame, wait, no wait in flames. When every lover's wanna eat the problem in this twisted game. Look at the record, see the lies they tell. I'm already stood tall now. Can't you see she ain't fell? Yeah.
Can't you see she ain't fell? Courts and filings like it's all a show, huh? Public meltdowns, master latest and low. Wanna paint her a villain when she spoke a truth. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, you pull all the loose. These tactics is classic, turning friends into foes. I see the problem when your shadows will grow. Every woman that leaves, nah, it ain't their fault. Why can't you see the cycle, man? You built this vault, yo.
When you play her for a fool, make her chest move blind. You just flex that narrative, see the way it unwinds. When every breakup's about to play, each moment lit in flames. When every lover suddenly the problem in this twisted game. Look at the record, see the lies they tell. I'm already stood tall and proud. Can't you see she ain't fell?
Yeah. Can't you see she ain't fell? So here's the lesson, if you dare to engage, when the cycle of blame is just part of the stage. Remember, merge the one who didn't take the heat. When the common denominator's you, don't you dare hit repeat. Can't you see she ain't fell? Another round. Let's go. When every breakup ends in flames, but when you know. Yeah. Left my house feeling good, sun shining bright. So Tony G on the porch, just a casual sight. But then I glanced it down, it's dope wide ajar. I had to check it out, my heart racing like a car.
Yeah. Them the tree they tried to bury. Yeah. I'm the storm. Yeah. I'm the storm they tried to bottle. The truth they tried to drown. 15 years old, they threw a king's weight on a child's crown. But I rise like a riot, like a siren in the night. And I'm calling out the dude who's been ducking the light. Name's Art Ortiz. Yeah, that fraud. Moving like a shadow puppet pulled by a coward god. Every time the block shake, he the first one to vanish. Moving like guilt, wearing sneakers, sprinting off in the panic. I'm like, why you always running when the truth get loud? Why your footsteps echo different from the rest of the crowd? You slither through the alleys like a rumor with legs. But when the questions start flying, you crack like eggs. I was sitting on the porch, whole hood saw me chilling. You was creeping through the dark like a plot. You was feeling you a ghost with the heartbeat, a whisper with shoes, a silhouette sprinting off, dropping half-baked clues. I spit metaphors heavy, you the fence jumper phantom, the backyard bandit, the night shift random. You the type to leave footprints, but swear you ain't walk. The type to hear your name whispered and pretend you ain't talk. I'm the kid they tried to bury, but I grew like a vine. Truth climbing every wall, exposing every design.
torn. They said it was fear, reopening the doors, filled with whispers behind closed floors. A white boy convicted made it look fair, but in the shadow of justice, the truth laid bare. Eddie was a name, but just a pawn in the game, sacrificed and railroaded. Nothing felt the same. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. Barnum was under pressure, he folded like glass. The DA showboating, just trying to amass. The system wanted justice, but justice was blind, changing the laws, leaving truth far behind. Remove the judge who dared to be just. Eddie was demonized in the world's cruel thrust. Size mattered not when politics run deep. From day one he fought, but all they did was sweep. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. And those inside knew the story was wrong. We could have done better, sang the old wrong song. Experts pressure to twist the truth arm in the court of despair. There was no charm, he never stood a chance. From the very start, a tragic confession, a broken heart. Watch Eddie's face when the world turned cold. An innocent spirit caught in a tale retold. The system failed him, that much is clear. A boy from Somerville, lost in his fear. Yet in the ashes, his story remains of the justice betrayed and the bitter pains. Through the lens of history, we sing his plight. Remember the boy who stood up to the night. Just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. So let's tell his story, raise voices, unite. For every Eddie, let's stand up and fight. Just a boy from Somerville, forever we'll stand in the heart of the people. His truth in our head.
Now, one other thing I wanted to add that I didn't add in earlier, I just wanted to say to Justin's loved ones, with his sister Jen, to every person, that carried the weight of Justin's loss, far longer than, the media ever did. We definitely honor you, feel with you, stand with you. So anything you ever need, just shout out and let us know. But, we see you fight for, 4 years, and answers that should have been given freely, but Morrissey isn't like that, man. And I hope we get the Michael Proctor 2020 text messages, because I like to know what he had to say during this investigation. I mean, but you carried a grief, that should never have existed. You know, I mean, the strength that you have, man, I bet no family should have to ever show that, man. And your courage, your refusal to let Justin's story be rewritten. But all right, now my mother's bothering me, so um I'll see what she wants, but this is what keeps the truth from being buried. See, I know my mother don't listen. You wanna know why? Because people that know you, right, that know who you are, they don't support you. You know what I mean? And there's reason they don't support you because they believe because they know you for who you were before and all this other stuff, and they just like, yeah, whatever. But that's how I know my mother's not listening. So I could talk shit about my mother right now. And I know she'll never hear, but if she was here, she'd smash me right in the face. You know what I mean? My mom don't play. She gangster. All right, we out of here, man. Let me shut my mouth in case my mother is listening. Sorry, Ma. All right, bye, everybody.
She's gonna kill you.